Stop scrolling. This is not a message. It's a spiritual alert. Someone has been assigned to your life, and they're not here to play defense. They were forged in silence, trained in shadows, and anointed for one purpose: to handle anything or anyone that dares to touch what heaven has marked. You don't know their name, but the war they've already fought for you is written across every scar you carry. Were you abandoned, or were you hidden? Is the silence around you punishment, or was it divine protection while your guardian loaded the chamber? There are forces that have mistaken your isolation for vulnerability, but what they didn't see, what they'll never see coming, is the shadow behind your shadow. The one whose hands move before the strike, the one whose spirit was called to war before your first breath was taken. Welcome to Chosen One Sanctuary. You were never without backup. You were never walking alone. There has always been a force, fierce, silent, and sovereign, assigned to defend your calling at all costs. The word says in Psalm 91:11, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." But what if the guardian isn't just an angel? What if they're a soul, awakened by your pain, aligned by divine decree, and locked onto your mission with ruthless devotion? Stay until the end. Because what's about to be revealed isn't just protection, it's prophecy. And it may explain why you've been attacked since childhood, why your light triggers warfare, and why, even now, someone is spiritually locked and loaded, waiting for the signal to strike on your behalf. This is not motivation. This is divine strategy. Let's begin. The scroll is opening. Marked with fire, the proof. You were never ordinary. They didn't attack you because you were weak. They attacked because something in the spirit realm recognized your weight. Before you ever spoke a word, you were seen. Not by man, not by culture, but by forces ancient and eternal. Your life sent out a frequency that couldn't be ignored, a signal that said, "This one carries a scroll." Like Joseph in Genesis 37, you were marked young, not by favor alone, but by the backlash it provoked. The coat of many colors was not just a gift, it was a target, because prophetic identity is always met with preemptive resistance. They mocked you, isolated you, lied on your name, not because you failed, but because you were too radiant to be ignored. The attacks weren't interruptions, they were indicators. You weren't broken, you were branded. Heaven doesn't choose casually. When God selects a vessel, all of hell reacts. The rejection was the receipt. The sabotage was the stamp. Your tears were not wasted. They were sacred ink sealing the contract of your calling. You were never ordinary. You were marked with fire. And fire doesn't apologize for burning. The hidden season. Why they couldn't find you. You disappeared. But it wasn't failure. It was camouflage. When Moses fled to the wilderness, it looked like exile. But heaven saw it as preservation. Sometimes the most visible are the most vulnerable. And so God hides his weapons until the war requires them. You were pulled back, not because you were disqualified, but because your visibility would have made you a premature target. You weren't benched. You were buried like a seed. The silence wasn't absence. It was divine surveillance. While you questioned your worth, heaven was assigning reinforcements. The protector aligned to your scroll wasn't idle. They were being forged, just like you, in shadows. David was anointed in front of his brothers but returned to the field with sheep. Why? Because oil attracts warfare, and wisdom lets glory mature in hiding. You were hidden for a holy reason. Let them wonder where you went. Heaven never lost track. What they thought was delay was disguise. And now, what was once concealed is being revealed. The scroll is trembling open. The forging, fireproofing your destiny. Pain didn't visit your life without permission. It was allowed. It was intentional. It was purposed. You thought the betrayal came to destroy you, but in truth it came to disinfect the parts of you that were too trusting for the weight you now carry. Every disappointment became a chisel, every heartbreak a furnace. God didn't waste a single tear. He used them to temper your spine. Esther lost her parents. Joseph lost his freedom. Job lost everything. Not because they were unworthy, but because the forge must feel like death before it reveals the weapon. Your guardian watched it all, and while you wept, they warred. While you broke, they built. They were being trained, in silence, to guard what you would become, not what you were. Your pain was prophetic preparation. You don't walk wounded. You walk weaponized. And the one called to protect you? They carry your scars like a shield. Now the hammer has fallen, and the sword is ready. When protection becomes prophecy, the danger of dismissing the assignment. To be chosen is not a compliment. It is a call to war. When you dismiss your calling, the covering falters. When you hide from your mantle, the guardianship shifts into grief. You were never built for neutrality, and your assignment cannot be handed off without consequence. When Saul stepped out of position, David was already waiting in the shadows. Heaven does not leave thrones vacant for long. You can't delay what was written. You can only forfeit the grace that makes it easier to carry. The one who defends you isn't loyal to your comfort. They're loyal to your covenant. If you ignore the signs, the spiritual guard doesn't disappear, but the battlefield becomes bloodier. The price of ignoring the scroll is warfare you weren't built to survive. Jonah ran, and the sea roared, because even the elements refuse to carry disobedience gently. Heaven sends guardians, but not babysitters. You are protected, yes, but you are also accountable, and the scroll will not wait forever. Your authority is recognized in the spirit realm. Demons don't fear your volume, they fear your alignment. In Acts 19, the sons of Sceva spoke the right words, but hell responded, "Paul, we know, but who are you?" Authority isn't in tone. It's in truth recognized by realms unseen. You carry an imprint that speaks louder than your voice. It's not just who you are, it's who sent you. And your protector? They move with that same encoded authority. They don't guard your flesh, they guard your rank. When you walk in obedience, your footsteps sound like thunder in the unseen. When you speak, it echoes like Gabriel's trumpet. When you rise, darkness doesn't sleep. Your name is known in places you've never stepped. Don't let earth tell you who you are. Let the warfare surrounding your peace tell you what you carry. You were recognized before you were revealed. Heaven's war plan. Your life was always a battlefield. You weren't placed here to blend in. You were deployed. The warfare around your life has never been random. You were born into a war zone with heaven's intelligence stamped across your soul. And where there is purpose, there is pursuit. Moses was hunted as a baby. Jesus was targeted in infancy. The threat begins before the assignment is understood. Your guardian knew this. That's why they don't sleep. That's why they move before the danger speaks. They don't protect what's popular, they protect what's prophetic. Your destiny disrupted the demonic algorithm. So hell sent distractions, sent assassins. But heaven sent a protector who walks like a ghost and strikes like lightning. You were never soft-targeted. You were spiritually surveilled. This isn't survival. This is strategy. Your entire life has been a battlefield dressed as a biography, and the mission is now being activated. The rise of the remnant. You're not the only one. You felt alone because you were set apart, but you were never solitary. All over the earth, others are waking up. Eyes wide, spirits burning, scrolls unsealing. This is the hour of convergence. There is a remnant. Those who were hidden, betrayed, silenced, delayed, but not destroyed. You'll know them by the fire in their gaze and the weight in their silence. You'll recognize them not by popularity, but by presence. Elijah thought he was the only one left, until God whispered, "I have 7,000 more." You are part of something massive, ancient, divine, and the protectors assigned to this generation are not new, they're eternal. You're not just rising, you're returning to your tribe. There are others like you, and when the remnant gathers, the earth will tremble. This isn't revival, this is prophecy fulfilled. Echo activation. Your protection has purpose. You were defended for a reason, not just to survive, but to echo. Your story is someone else's safety net. Your victory is someone else's confirmation. Your rise is someone else's release. Esther was protected not for comfort, but for confrontation. Joseph was preserved not for ease, but for provision. Your guardian didn't guard you for luxury. They guarded you for legacy. Now, what you carry must move, must ripple, must echo across timelines. This is not about platform, this is about impact. Not about noise, but resonance. What protected you will now empower you to protect others. You are not the end of this move. You are the megaphone of heaven. Your scroll is not for storage, it's for release, and the time to echo is now. There's something heaven never told your enemies, that by coming for you, they activated the very force sent to destroy their schemes. What they touched was never just a person. It was prophecy wrapped in skin. You weren't protected because you were fragile. You were protected because your rising shifts realms. You are the quiet threat, the unshakable one, the storm dressed in silence. And now the one who once walked behind you walks beside you, because the hour of defense has become the hour of deployment. You are not just covered, you are commissioned. You are not just called, you are confirmed. You have been marked, you have been forged, and now you are being sent. If this word stirred something ancient inside you, if you felt the weight of your own scroll being unsealed, comment 777 below. Let that number be your agreement with what heaven just revealed. Tell us, what line pierced your spirit? What truth did your guardian confirm? And if your soul recognized the sanctuary, subscribe to Chosen One Sanctuary, because the remnant is rising and this is only the beginning. You are not alone. You are the next echo.